Hey everybody, welcome to my RV7 / Pete and Pole Air Camper YouTube channel. I've been trying to make this intro video now for probably a half hour, and I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet and to the point. The reason I'm making these videos is because one, I like to build, and two, I really enjoy helping other people. So these videos will show you how I am building my airplane. Now, I'm not saying that I'm an expert, because I'm not, and I'm not saying that the way that I've built my airplane is the way that you should build yours. These are just for entertainment purposes. Maybe when you watch these, it will spark some ideas in your own mind on ways that you want to build your airplane. The other reason I'm making these videos is because I need help building my RV7. I can build the airplane myself. Financially, it would take a very long time to do it. I would rather not wait a very long time because I want to use this airplane as a platform to travel around the country and help other people with their aircraft projects or with their aircraft maintenance. So in order for me to do that, I've set up a GoFundMe page and an Amazon wish list, and those links will be in the description of all of these RV videos. So if you feel moved enough when you watch these videos, if they've helped you and you feel motivated in return to help me, I'd appreciate your donation or your purchases from the wish list. So that's it. That's the mission of the airplane. Like I said, I'd like to use it as a platform to travel to people. They can reach out to me and say, hey, I'm building an RV whatever, I'm building a Pete and Pole air camper, I'm building a Stoll type airplane, I have a certified airplane that I need some help with, whatever it is. I would like to be able to fly to their shop, to their hangar, and be with them real time, hands on, and try to help them as best I can. I might not be able to help. Maybe I show up and the only thing that I can do is help you move a wing from one side of the shop to the other. I'm okay with that. So that's the idea. And as a little thank you, as little as it is, this is an RV7 elevator skin, and if you make a donation or you purchase something from my wish list, I'd like to add your name to this skin, and ultimately, hopefully, I'll have it full of names, and those names and the skin will be mounted at my hangar, what I call Wall of Honor, just as a little recognition that these people were nice enough to help me with my project. So that's it. Again, these are the RV7 videos. You might be interested in checking out my Pete and Pole air camper videos as well. But that's it. All right, that's enough yip yap for now. I say we get to building some RVs. Here I have the leading edge back onto the wing assembly. I've gone ahead and I've taken everything apart, and I cleaned all the metal shavings off of everything from match drilling all these holes where you see all the clecos. Everything was match drilled. Then I took everything apart to get all the shavings and stuff out. All the ribs have been fluted and dimpled and deburred. The skin has obviously been dimpled, deburred. Everything is ready to rivet. So after all the prep was finished, I reassembled the leading edge in the cradle, and then I've taken it from the cradle and put it back on the wing just to dry fit it, just to make sure that it's not twisted or racked in any certain way. I like to remount it on the wing spar just to make sure that things are square. So it's ready to go. You can see down at this end I have the fuel tank attach strip in place. So that strip has been finished and fitted back to the leading edge. And that's that. So now I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to put it back in the cradle. I'll probably lay it flat in the cradle and start riveting. Alright, I'm going to try to film pop riveting the leading edge ribs to the spar. I'm sure this looks pretty dark, but hopefully you can make out that I'm on the underneath of the spar. Of course, this is the wing tip or the wing leading edge. And I decided to go with pop rivets, which is approved by Vans. I am using LP4-3s and LP4-4 pop rivets. And you can see that I'll have to show a better shot of this later, but this area of the rivet squeezer I severely modified to get it to fit up against the rib so that I can get the nose on the rivet, on the pulled rivet. I'll show a picture of that here shortly. But that's it. It works really well. You can see the couple of rivets that I've already put in, how nice they look. And that's that. So, like I said, I decided to go ahead and use the pop rivets. I tried using, actually I did use solid rivets on my other wing, but I will never do that again. I will just stick with the pop rivets. This is my modified pop rivet puller. You could see this is the head that I had basically sanded on a belt sander, sanded it flat as much as I was comfortable with. You could see the jaws here are just starting to poke through. That's how thin I shaved it. I should not have gone that thin, but it does still work. So obviously this is probably as shaved down as you can get away with and still have it function. The other thing I wanted to show was this is an LP4-3 rivet, and this is an LP4-4 rivet. They're identical except for the length. And the reason you use two different lengths is the ribs, the leading edge ribs closest to the wing tip, they just get riveted to the spar web. So you would use these short rivets. As you get further down the wing, there's a reinforcement plate. I think it's like an 1/8 inch thick, maybe not quite that thick. But as you get further down with your ribs, there's some thicker metal that's on the spar, so you need the longer rivets to rivet those ribs from the leading edge. Another thing that I wanted to demonstrate, if I can do this one-handed here. If you take if you're trying to finagle, especially the first few pop rivets, they may not want to fit up into the hole very nicely. What I tend to do is I'll take a 3/16, I don't know if this is in focus or not, I'll use a 3/16 inch deep well socket, and that will fit the pop rivet just about right. You can see there that fits the rivet nicely, and then you can you fit the rivet up in the hole as best you can. You put the socket over it, and then you just tap it with a hammer, and it will gently drive the rivet up into the hole until it's all the way in to the spar. Just knock it in gently till it's seated all the way, and then you can fit the pop rivet puller on it and do it that way. So that's it. That's the rivets, pop rivets for the leading edge ribs. Something that you may find of interest is this blue hole that you see here. I had forgotten to mention when I was making my spar videos that when you drill the holes, actually let me come around here. When you countersink these holes, it's not so, maybe I should get my finger in the frame here. when you countersink these holes on the spar, it's not all that important with these small ones because they don't go very deep. But when you countersink these really large holes for the skin, for the fuel tank skin, you need to put something on the back side of this flange because these holes get big enough that the countersink will actually open up the hole itself and it will move around and shatter and wobble and create havoc. So you need a thicker material back here for the pilot of the countersink to go into and stay centered. So what a lot of people do is they'll use a piece of angle or a piece of channel and clamp it on the back side of that flange before they do their countersinking. This is what I use. This is a square piece of aluminum tubing. It's 1 inch square. It's about 6 feet in length. And I don't know if this will show up very well, but you can see I have it here. It's labeled top spar. So these are the holes that, let me see if I can explain this. So this is the top spar. So this was clamped to the top of the spar flange, and then I just basically match drilled through the flange of the spar into this, and then I came back with my countersink and countersunk the holes on the spar flange. This side here, it says bottom spar, and I did the same thing. I used this side of the square tube and clamped this to the bottom of the spar, match drilled the holes, and then did the countersinking. And you can see these holes on the bottom are bigger than these holes on the top in this location just because the spars are different. These were probably fuel tank holes here. This is probably a skin hole here. These 4 here are probably for an inspection cover or something like that. But anyway, you can see the holes run almost the entire length in different locations. And I'll include, I think I have a couple pictures of this actually clamped in place on the spar. And then of course, so I've got this side here for one hole pattern on the spar, the top. I've got this side of the tube for the bottom spar and its hole pattern. And then I've got this third side here is drilled, and I use it to attach my wing to my workbench here. And then of course attaches to the wing down there as well, and I just use it basically to hold this far end of the wing in place. So that one single piece of tubing serves 3 functions for me. And it's blue just because I wrapped it in blue painter's tape so that when I have it clamped to the bottom of the spar or to the flanges of the spar, it doesn't mark up the gold anodizing. So I'll include some pictures if I can find them, and hopefully that will explain it a little better. I know this is dark, but I'm going to try to show you what I was talking about with the pop rivets. So in this location here are the pop rivets, and you can see that this is just the web of the spar. So you have the thin part of the web, the spar web, and the leading edge rib, which is also relatively thin. They're riveted together with these pop rivets here. So these are the LP4-3s. They're a little bit shorter. Here's another one, same location. So you've got the thin web and the rib. So those would also be the -3s. Now when you come to this location here, you have this doubler. Now, I'm sorry this is so dark. You have this added doubler to the web. So now the rivet, the pop rivet, has to go through this doubler and the web, and then the rib on the other side. So those pop rivets are the -4s because they're a little bit longer. And then here's another location here with the doubler. And another one here. So whenever you have that extra added piece of aluminum, you use the -4s. And then when you are just doing the regular web without the added reinforcement, you would use the -3s. Now that I have the leading edge ribs pop riveted in place, I'm going to go ahead and start riveting this lengthwise row of rivets. One thing I wanted to point out, you can see here I've got this location marked with the number 4.5, and I have this one here as well. And if you look very close at the plans, it's drawing number 12. It shows the rivet callouts for the skins. If you pay very close attention to that drawing, you'll note that wherever there's a rib, the skin, the rivet has to go through the skin, the spar, and the flange that's underneath, or the rib flange that's underneath here. So in those locations, you have to use a 4.5 length rivet. These other rivets only go through the skin and the spar flange, so those are number 4s. But in these locations where there's a rib, as I said, the rivet has to go through the skin, the spar, and then this rib that's on the back side up in here. So you need the longer rivets. So this one will get a 4.5. This one, there's the rib. Here's a rib. So this one gets a 4.5 on down the line. All right, and that's for both sides. So this is the bottom side. On the other side, the top side of the wing, same thing. Wherever there's a rib, and you're going to drive a rivet through the skin, the spar flange, and the rib flange, you have to make sure you get those longer rivets in there. The rest are 4.0. And I believe, like I said, I believe that's on drawing 12 for the RV7. Pay very, very close attention to those rivet callouts. Those kinds of situations play out a lot on the wings. There's very specific little locations where you need to use a longer rivet. It's the same here on the leading edge. These leading edge rivets, where you just go from the skin to the flange, or to the rib, these are 3.5s. But on this side, on this end where you have the fuel tank attached strip, these rivets are 4s. So the entire leading edge is 3.5 except for this last rib. These all get size 4 length rivets because you have the added thickness of this attachment strip. So you have to be careful, just be mindful, and check and recheck the rivet callouts. Yet another thing to remember when you are doing the riveting on the leading edge and you are changing from the different lengths of the rivets, so you go from on most of those lengthwise rivets I was just talking about, those are the length is number 4 length, and then where you have the added rib you have to go to that longer length of 4.5. Remember, when you change rivet lengths, you have to change your gap setting on your squeezer. So in my case, just as an example, when I go from the shorter number 4s to the longer 4.5s, I would just remove the thin washer. And then I would squeeze the 4.5, and then I'd put the washer back in to squeeze the 4s. So again, just another reminder that whenever you change your rivet lengths, make sure that you remember to change your gap setting on your squeezer. All right, let's move on. Alright, I'm going to do some riveting demonstration here real quick on this leading edge. So what I like to do, according to the instructions, you put the leading edge on the wing and you rivet the ribs to the spar first, which I did with the pop rivets. Now I'm going to rivet these lengthwise row on the top and on the bottom on the other side, this row here. So I've already started off camera. I like to start in the middle of the leading edge and I work my way out this way a few rivets, and then I'll work my way out from the center to the left a few rivets, and I just do that a little at a time, work my way out from the center. So I've already started that. I've got a nice row started here on the top, and I've got a matching row started on the back side, and I do that back and forth. I'll do some on the top, then I'll go around to the other side and I'll do a row on the back, and then I'll come back on this side, do a few more, go to the other side, do a few more. I feel best doing it that way. That way you kind of work the metal out, work any slack out toward the tips, and you kind of keep it even from this front side along with the back side. That's just how I feel best doing it. So now, all I'm going to do now is, I'm still working, I'm not at the rib yet. Here's a rib here. And this rib, of course, goes up under here. I'm not to that point yet, so I'm still doing the 4.0 length rivets. And I've got my rivets laid out here on the bench, or on my workbench top here. So that's a 4.0. And that is why you see me walking around the shop with hearing protection on all the time, because I never know when I'm using my ear tools, I never know when that compressor's just going to come on. Okay, so now I'm at the rib location, so now I have to switch over to the longer 4.5 rivet. Make sure it's in all the way. This rib could move around a little bit, so you want to make sure that you've got it in there correctly. And now, for my particular setup, all I need to do is take out, I've got a thin washer here. I just remove my thin washer, and now I can squeeze this 4.5. Let me get this cleco out of the way. And then to do the rest of the fours, I just go back in here, put my thin washer back in place, and go back to the number 4 lengths for the rest of these. And of course, before I settled on a washer set for my squeezer, I did a rivet or two, and then went around on the other side, stuck my head up in here with my gauge and checked these, and altered the washers on the set until I got, the proper shop head on the back side. I did that for the 4s, and I also checked it for the 4.5. And for my setup, as you saw, to make the switch from 4 to 4.5, I just had to remove a thin washer. And that's about as easy as it gets. So I will continue on here. Hello. And you see I've got a few more to do here. Got a few more to do here, but before I do that, I'm going to go over on the other side and do some more on the bottom. Hey everybody, it's me again. I just wanted to say thanks for checking out my video. And like I said in the intro, if you find these videos helpful and useful and you're moved enough to want to in return help me with my project, my GoFundMe link and my Amazon wish list link is in the description of each of these videos. And again, if you do make a donation or a purchase, I'll add your name to this elevator skin, and it will be displayed on my wall of honor at my hangar. So that's it. Thanks for coming by. I really do appreciate the donations, and hopefully when this aircraft is finished, we can meet in person and I will be able to help you or anybody else who needs help with their project, and we'll see what happens. All right, thanks again, and we'll see you in the next video.